In Revenge of the Sith, Mustafar is where the story snaps in half. Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. Obi-Wan Kenobi wins the duel, looks down at what's left of someone he loved, and walks away while the lava finishes the job. Palpatine arrives minutes later and turns a burned man into an instrument in black armor. That's the canon path. But what if Obi-Wan saved Anakin on Mustafar? And mercy doesn't fix the galaxy. It just changes what the galaxy has to survive. Mustafar breathes like a furnace. Heat bends the air over black sand. Machines scream. Ash sticks to the tongue. Anakin is on the bank, limbs gone, skin catching, screaming until the sound collapses into something smaller and worse. His eyes are yellow, darkness still there, but pain has stripped the rage down to raw nerve. Obi-Wan stands above him, chest tearing for air, saber vibrating in his hand. One swing ends it. The mission is right there. His arm won't move. He reaches for the code and finds it useless here. Teachings built for council chambers don't help when brotherhood is burning at your feet. Fire climbs Anakin's clothes. The scream thins as the body starts losing. Then light flashes over the refinery structures, metal cutting through smoke. A shuttle. Palpatine's shuttle. Obi-Wan's mind clears in the simplest, ugliest way. If Palpatine reaches him first, the galaxy gets Vader. Obi-Wan runs. Anakin's gaze tracks him, trapped and feral. "Leave me," he rasps, and the sentence breaks into a cough. Obi-Wan throws out his hand. The flames collapse with a violent hiss, steam punching upward. He reaches through the force and clamps onto the last thread of life. He holds it until his knees wobble and the edges of his vision bleach white. Anakin's breathing catches, steadies, clings. "Don't," Anakin whispers, and something human leaks through the hate. "Don't let her die." Obi-Wan swallows hard. "I'm getting you out," he says, "because there isn't room for anything else." He hauls Anakin up, burnt skin against cloth, dead weight dragging him down, and staggers into motion. Padme's ship is still there. C-3PO meets him at the ramp, hands fluttering, voice spiraling. "Oh, Master Kenobi, Miss Padme is—" "Help me," Obi-Wan snaps. R2's projector flares in the cramped light. Emergency medical schematics, triage protocols, a blunt list of things a body like this shouldn't survive. Obi-Wan injects a stim, seals raw tissue with a field wrap, and R2 floods the compartment with breathable mist before the ship even finishes powering up. They get Anakin on inside and sealed away from Padme, separate compartment, locked. Then Obi-Wan goes to her. She's pale, half-conscious, and the second she sees his face, she understands. "You didn't—" Obi-Wan doesn't pretend. "No." Padme's jaw tightens. "Then fly." Obi-Wan lifts the ship hard. Through the viewport, Palpatine's shuttle drops through the smoke behind them. On the platform below, Palpatine steps into scorched emptiness. No corpse, no crawling apprentice, just silence. He reaches with the Force and feels it, faint, muffled, but present. Anakin is not gone. Someone took him. Palpatine's face stays calm. Calm is a tool. "Return to Coruscant," he tells his commander, immediately. Polis Massa is bright, sterile, and painfully clean. A medical facility built for emergencies, not for the end of an era. 2 bays are set up behind a thin screen, one for Padme's labor, one for Anakin's survival. There's no rebuilding here, only stabilization, burn treatment, shock control, machines doing the brutal work of keeping a man from slipping into death. Obi-Wan paces like he's split down the middle. Yoda arrives with Bail Organa, both of them carrying the same exhausted gravity. Yoda's eyes land on Anakin, then on Obi-Wan. "Alive?" Yoda says. It isn't a relief, it's a reckoning. Obi-Wan answers with the only truth he has. "Yes." "You were sent to stop him." "I know." Yoda lets the silence sit there until Obi-Wan can feel the weight of what the order asked and what he refused. Then Padme cries out and the room shifts around it. A newborn's wail cuts through the air. "Male," a medical droid announces, "healthy." Padme clutches the child, shaking, her face breaking open into something tender and stunned. A second cry follows. "Female, strong." Padme whispers their names like naming them pins the universe in place. Luke, Leia. Obi-Wan feels it all at once. The temple burning, the order shattered, yet life arrives anyway. Anakin is brought close enough to see. He looks like a ruin strapped into a chair. When Padme finds him, she doesn't scream. She closes her eyes like she's forcing herself to stay upright. "I thought I lost you," Anakin says, voice raw. "You nearly did," Padme answers. Honest, controlled, the only mercy she can afford. Bail leans in, voice low. He'll hunt, because he always hunts what he can't control. Anakin's throat works. "Palpatine is Sidious," he says. "He built the war. He turned everyone into pieces." Yoda's ears dip. Too late. Scene. Padme adjusts Leia's blanket, careful. Then we give him a story that keeps his eyes in the wrong place. Bail's expression sharpens. A death. Obi-Wan hates how clean the logic is, and hates more that it's right. Padme doesn't look away. "He governs by myth," she says, "so we poison the myth." A dead clone trooper is recovered from the chaos, altered with spare cybernetics, burned beyond recognition. A severed mechanical arm is left behind where investigators will find it later. Simple physical evidence for anyone who needs something to point at. Bail's channels move faster than ships, feeding the right bureau the right discovery before anyone asks the wrong questions. They leak it into every line the Empire monitors, forcing Imperial security to wrap a leash around the rumor before it runs wild. Imperial security releases an official report within hours. Images, timestamps, a narrative built to lock into the public mind. Anakin Skywalker. Hero of the Republic, killed by separatist holdouts. Palpatine endorses it publicly because it serves him. Privately, he stops waiting. He starts hunting. Weeks later, when Padme can stand long enough to do it, she returns to the Senate for one last appearance, veiled in black, voice steady through exhaustion. Med droids and sheer will keep her upright. If she disappears too cleanly, Palpatine starts digging in the only place that matters. To preserve stability, Palpatine announces, expanded security measures will be enacted. Surveillance, the suppression of unregistered political activity. Padme rises. "You can't grieve a republic while dismantling it," she says. "Don't turn Anakin Skywalker into your excuse to build a cage." The chamber stirs. Palpatine answers softly. "Careful, Senator." Padme holds his gaze. "I am." He lets her walk because dragging her away in public risks cracking the illusion too soon. So he tightens the net. He assigns shadows. Padme disappears from Coruscant. Officially, mourning. Unofficially, extraction. Bail takes her and Leia to Alderaan under false routes and layered security. Luke is sent far from power, delivered quietly to Owen and Beru Lars, people who can hide a child in plain sight without ever understanding how important that is. Obi-Wan doesn't touch that trail. Obi-Wan becomes the lock. Anakin is moved to a dead moon on the outer rim, an abandoned listening post carved into stone, off the lanes, off the maps people actually use. A cell, a one-way viewport, prosthetics secured behind sealed doors when training isn't happening. Containment, and it grinds Obi-Wan down anyway. Weeks become months. The Empire tightens. Survivors are hunted. Red blades begin appearing in the dark, Palpatine's hunters, rarely seen, always lethal. Inside the listening post, Obi-Wan talks to the man in the cell, not like a lecturer, but like someone refusing to let both of them rot in silence. He speaks about Qui-Gon and what the Order missed. He speaks about Shmi because leaving Shmi behind was never discipline, it was neglect dressed up as virtue. He speaks about fear because fear grows fastest when it's unnamed. One day he tells Anakin only this: the children lived. 2. Safe. Anakin flinches, and grief tries to become human. "I want to see them," he says. Obi-Wan's answer is steady. "Not until you're steady." The word lands hard. It should. Time drags. Slowly, Anakin changes, not in a cinematic snap, in inches. One morning, he looks up and the yellow is gone. His eyes are exhausted, haunted, blue. Obi-Wan doesn't celebrate. He watches for the relapse that doesn't come. Anakin swallows. "I feel her," he says quietly. Not her voice, her refusal, like it's inside me. Obi-Wan steps closer to the viewport. "Hold on to that," he says. "Let it hurt. Just don't let it steer." The tears come slow, unperformed. Obi-Wan opens the cell and pulls him in. No speech. And after that, after Obi-Wan sees Anakin sit with pain instead of sprinting toward violence, Yoda's warning finally becomes usable. In canon, Yoda tells Obi-Wan there is training to complete. A voice from beyond. A path Qui-Gon found. Here, that training begins in the wreckage of a choice. Obi-Wan reaches into the Force, not as a soldier, but as a student. At first, nothing. Then one night it starts as a voice, thin, distant, unmistakable. And only after that does the air change. Light gathers into the shape Obi-Wan has missed for years. Qui-Gon Jinn appears like quiet light, steady, unmistakable. Obi-Wan's breath catches. "Master!" Qui-Gon's gaze moves to Anakin. "You're still here," he says, and it isn't comfort. It's instruction. Anakin's voice breaks. "How do I live with it?" "You carry it," Qui-Gon says, "and you stop letting it drive." Qui-Gon turns to Obi-Wan. "You chose the harder road." Then he gives them direction, an instinctive pull toward a refuge hidden in forgotten lanes. The kind of place Palpatine can't locate even while he searches for the missing shape in the Force. They leave in a ship with no markings, traveling routes no one bothers to guard. The refuge is an abandoned outpost with a medical bay that can be revived. Anakin's body is rebuilt into something functional, limbs that move with him, pain managed instead of weaponized. No mask, no theater, just consequences. And then the real work begins. Years grind forward, bail funds whispers into networks. Mon Mothma gathers names that still remember what Republic was supposed to mean. Padme becomes a strategist in shadow, keeping Leia close, keeping Luke distant, keeping hope alive without turning it into a target. Palpatine, unable to confirm what his instincts keep warning him about, builds the answer he trusts most. Project Stardust. Nearly 2 decades after Mustafar, Bail's hologram appears in the hidden outpost, face older, eyes sharper. "Shipyard manifests," he says. "Stardust is real." Mon Mothma appears beside him. "If it becomes operational, there won't be a second chance." Anakin nods once. "Where?" They meet Rex at a burned-out separatist station on the edge of nowhere. Older, still soldier straight. "Took you long enough," Rex mutters, and pulls Anakin into a quick embrace like he needs to confirm reality. "Our old codes won't get you inside," Rex says. "So we stole something better." He holds up a sealed capsule. Blueprints. Anakin's focus locks in. The rebel fleet is a patchwork held together by will. Padme stands beside Mon Mothma on a command deck, watching the stars like they might turn. Then the Death Star emerges, finished. It fires once, not because it must, but because Palpatine wants terror witnessed. A remote target is reduced to debris in seconds, proof without instantly welding the whole galaxy into one united fist. Anakin's servos hiss as his hands curl. Obi-Wan doesn't look away. "Cycle time." Anakin nods. Then we're inside, before it fires again. Their shuttle dives into a ventral bay under cover of chaos. R2 slices docking controls. Shields flicker. The ship slips through. Inside, polished corridors, clean lights, a gleaming machine built for extinction. They move toward core systems. The Force tightens. Doors open. Figures step out, red blades igniting. Not the old Inquisitorius at full strength. What's left of it? Survivors and relics, kept close now because whatever survived Mustafar once might try again. And at their center, someone removes a helmet and reveals Anakin's face, untouched, younger, full of hate. Obi-Wan's voice turns cold. That isn't him. Palpatine steps from the shadows like a man unveiling a prize. "You thought I'd accept a convenient death?" he purrs. "You bought time, nothing more." His hand rests on the figure's shoulder. "A strandcast," he says, savoring the word, Kaminoan work repurposed in sealed Imperial facilities. "Built from your worst self." The duplicate lunges. The fight is fast and intimate. Obi-Wan becomes a wall against the hunters. Anakin meets his own shadow with measured breath instead of hunger. "You're not me," Anakin says. It isn't an insult. It's a refusal. Obi-Wan disarms the duplicate with surgical precision. Anakin drops it with a controlled force pulse. Palpatine ignites his crimson blades, smiling like he's been waiting years for this hallway. Lightning explodes. Debris tears free. Obi-Wan absorbs what he can, knees buckling under corrosive current. Palpatine takes Anakin's arm again in a spray of sparks. Anakin staggers, then steadies. He meets the Emperor's lightning with open hands and redirects it with ruthless precision, turning Palpatine's own power back into him. The scream this time isn't performance, it's shock. Anakin closes the distance and severs both of Palpatine's hands. The sabers clatter away. Palpatine collapses, shaking. "I am the Empire." Anakin stands over him. "No." And then they do the thing Palpatine never planned for. They make the galaxy see him. The slicers hijack the HoloNet feed. Screens across Imperial space light up with Palpatine's face, his lightning, the hunters behind him, the failed duplicate, proof the Empire can't talk its way out of. On some worlds, protests ignite within hours. On others, governors clamp down hard enough to turn streets into war zones. Fleets hesitate. Loyalty reshapes itself in real time. Inside the Death Star, alarms change pitch. Command fractures. Obi-Wan glances at Anakin. Extraction? They sabotage key systems, overloads that force shutdowns, and buy minutes instead of chasing a storybook explosion. The Rebel fleet punches a corridor through the chaos and pulls them out. The Death Star goes dark. They don't bring Palpatine back to Coruscant. Coruscant is still wired for fear. Instead, Bail and Mon Mothma gather what remains of lawful governance, senators who flee once the broadcast fractures the illusion. They convene on Chandrila behind armed doors. Palpatine is dragged into that chamber in cuffs, not because cuffs can hold him, but because a humming containment field can. Old Jedi work, rebuilt from scraps. It turns concentration into pain, and it holds him long enough. Anakin stands at the center, Obi-Wan beside him, Padme present not as a symbol but as proof. "He manufactured war," Anakin says. "He framed the Jedi. He turned the Republic into a machine that eats itself. I helped him do it." The room churns, horror, rage, and a kind of relief that hurts. "This is Darth Sidious," Anakin continues. "If you want any future that isn't built on fear, you end his rule here." The vote that follows isn't clean. It isn't unanimous. It's real. The Empire fractures into fighting pieces. Governors scramble. Worlds rise. Clones, some freed, some broken, start choosing who they are without an order in their heads. What replaces it is scarred and cautious, less arrogant, less willing to confuse silence for peace. The Jedi return in a new shape, with one lesson burned into their bones. Darkness doesn't vanish because you deny it. It weakens when you stop letting it steer. Obi-Wan carries leadership because someone has to. Anakin remains alive, accountable, never turned into a myth. And when it's finally safe to stop treating children like contraband, Luke comes home. Luke and Leia grow up with training and laughter in the same halls, strength without the pressure to become monsters. One evening, Obi-Wan stands in a garden and watches them spar. Padme stands beside him, quiet. "He would have died there," she says. Obi-Wan nods once. "I know." The Force feels steady around them, no victory lap. Just the sense of a teacher who waited a long time to see a student choose the harder road. What if Obi-Wan saved Anakin on Mustafar? In this timeline, it doesn't erase what happened. It leaves Anakin alive long enough to face it. If you enjoyed this alternate path, subscribe for more Star Wars stories like this, and may the Force be with you.